Welcome to the Dreamlands. We are back with some more Deserts of Kharak multiplayer action. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to upload a video, so I'm super excited to get back into casting some Deserts of Kharak, and I have got an absolutely fantastic game for you guys today. This game is going to be from the Artifact Cup 18, which happened just this past Saturday. And I know that Heir of Carthage has been casting the 18th Artifact Cup on his channel, so if you guys are enjoying this game and you like these tournaments, hop on over there and check out his channel. He has some pretty damn cool videos. And as far as previous Artifact Cups go, Magpie typically casts those, so if you're not familiar with his channel, Magpie842, head on over there and check that out if this is something you're interested in. He has some damn fine casts over there. Now this game, I wanted to bring to you guys for two reasons. The first is that I was in it, and it is undoubtedly one of the most intense games I've ever played, if not the most intense. It was a super fantastic game, and I had a ton of fun playing it, so I wanted to share it with you guys. And the second reason is that I actually use a build order in this video, which I featured in my guide section. So if you've been following my multiplayer build order guides and strategy tutorial videos, you will recognize it, and I thought it would be pretty cool to have an opportunity to check out one of those build orders that I showcased in action in a real highly competitive game. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So this is going to be, as I said, from the Artifact Cup 18. It's going to be game 2 of the semi-finals, and it was between myself and the legendary Agame. So a very good battle, hard fought for both players. Let's load up and jump in here. Now in the semifinals, Agame and I were both rolling random, just for funsies. And for this match, I ended up getting Khaaneph, my favorite faction, and Agame ended up getting Coalition. So a pretty darn cool matchup, Coalition versus Khaaneph. I do enjoy it quite a bit. Let's just bring up the production tab here. We'll do player introductions. And I've got a couple things to talk about as the action gets underway. So, without further ado, spawning on the south side of Galcian territories, it is going to be Last Rites, aka me, playing as the Khaaneph forces with the sexiest carrier in the universe. Now my opponent, spawning on the north side of Galcian territories, it is going to be Agame ANX, a man that needs no introduction if you follow Deserts of Kharak or the Artifact Cup. I would say that I consider Agame probably the top player in the game. I mean, there are certainly other players at his level for sure, but he is a player who's super adaptable, and he's able to play different factions, different styles, and consistently maintain dominance of the scene. So, gotta respect that. And actually a really fun guy to play against. One thing that I do respect about him is that he is a top player, and you will almost never see him cheese, which is pretty cool. I hate to use that term with Deserts of Kharak because there isn't any distinctly cheesy builds, like there's no, Protoss Cannon Rush from StarCraft or anything to that level of deplorable cheesiness, but there are certainly builds that are a little bit more cheesy than others, and you'll never really see Agame do them, so that's pretty cool. I have to give him a shout out for that. Alright, so if you are paying attention, you can see already what I'm doing. I have saturated my main location. I'm long hauling CUs. I have a second production cruiser almost ready, and my assault ship fabrication is halfway finished. So I am going for the double production cruiser assault ships. Let's go. And Agame looks like he doesn't have anything on the production tab at the moment. He is saturated his main resourcing location. He's long hauling CUs, so pretty standard. Oh, he's actually long hauling RUs as well. So this tells me he's going to probably get fast tech of some kind. But behind that, he has got an LAV on the field, so he did go LAV fabrication first into a support cruiser, so a build that I'm personally not familiar with. And typically, I have always said that early support cruiser in competitive 1v1 games is not safe. However, lately I've been seeing a lot of players actually do it and pull it off. Agame, Descara, Greppy, a lot of guys have been doing the support cruiser first, economic build, and actually making it work for competitive games. So that's something that I have to probably look into a bit more and kind of reassess my evaluation of that build order, because it's very, very strong, and if you can make it work, it's kind of the ideal opening build order for Coalition. However, it is pretty dangerous when your opponent is going for any kind of double production cruiser aggression, as we are soon going to see. Now I have my 2 production cruisers moving out across the map, producing armored assault vehicles. If you've seen my video, as you know, my version of this build order is not an all-in. It is simply meant to do as much economic damage as possible to my opponent, set them as far back as I possibly can, and then transition into a very economic heavily focused playstyle after that. So that's exactly what I'm going to try and do here. This is a tall order, however, because my opponent is a better player than me by a significant margin. Now, I just want to point out a couple of things here that Agame is going to do that is going to result in an absolutely clutch defense. First of all, he's moving his carrier out into the middle of the map and using his carrier to disrupt my unit formation. Now, this is a super good move. And he's also screening for his turret, which he has in a very nice spot. His support cruiser is right close by, even using a clutch smoke there to keep his turret in play for that much longer. Now I'm just going to send my production cruisers home. They've dumped 6 assault ships in, and now I'm just going to start focusing down Agame's salvagers. That is the name of the game here, but look at this micro from his carrier. He's keeping these 2 assault ships away from the battle, so that is absolutely a clutch move here. And he's going to be able to shut this down, but not before I do a pretty heinous amount of economic damage. I've completely shut down mining in this starting location, and I've killed about 4 salvagers at this point. I'm going to try and pick up a couple more. I don't know if that's going to happen. There are railguns now on the field for Agame, so he's going to keep them behind his carrier and just focus down each of my assault ships. I was able to clean up that turret finally, but I did sacrifice 6 assault ships to kill 4 salvagers and shut down mining for about a minute and a half or so on his main resourcing location. So was that worth it? We shall see. Now I'm going to send my production cruisers back home here. I do have production cruiser refinery mode researched. I did that while I was on the offensive. So I'm going to get a couple more assault ships on the field just to slow down any potential counterattack, and then begin producing some salvagers so that I can begin mining off of this 3rd wreck bulkhead. That will put me at 3 resourcing locations, mining at full efficiency. And I am going to follow up with interceptor fabrication. This is where this build order is going to differ from what I showcased in my guide section, and that's because I've been playing with this build a lot, and I found that going interceptors instead of siege cruisers as a follow-up to assault ships is infinitely better. It is just, it's so much better that it's incomparable. So if you go back and watch that video, or if you're seeing it again the first time, bear that in mind. Going assault ships into interceptors is better than assault ships into siege cruisers. You do want to get siege cruisers on the field eventually, but interceptors is just better. Now, this is the part in the game where I've done some damage, but I need to continue doing damage. My reasoning behind this is Agame is a better player than me by a fairly significant margin. His macro is far better, his micro is better, and in order to even stand a chance of winning, my plan going into this game was to just do as much economic damage as possible in the first few minutes of the game, slow him down as much as I could, and then not let him ever get a footing by constantly swarming him with immense amounts of aggro. Now I'm able to do that because I transitioned out of my initial rush into a 3-base economy, if you will. Now I've split up, I'm sending in a couple of AAVs just to continue harassing his economy here a little bit, and to get a little bit of scouting done. I want to see if he's at his 3rd wreck bulkhead yet, which he is not. So I know that I do have a bit of economic advantage, and that's going to give me a little more leeway in being a little bit more aggressive. So I've spotted that Agame now has a 2nd support cruiser on the field. That is going to give his carrier the ability to push off to the left here and try and secure this resourcing location. He has scouted me with an LAV, so he knows that he is behind in terms of economy. And at this point, I'm just waiting for his carrier to get out of position so I can send a large group of units off to the right flank again. And I'm going to try and hit his resourcing location one more time. Now my plan is bold. Is it going to be enough? Probably not, if experience has taught me anything, but I'm going to do my best and we'll see where it goes. Alright, I do have 6 interceptors now in the hangar. I'm going to launch them, and I'm going to go for a support cruiser snipe. At the same time, send in a couple sand skimmers and a couple assault ships. Try and clean up as many of his salvagers as possible. Now, I am definitely going to grab this support cruiser, which is, again, a huge pickup for me. That is going to significantly reduce the effectiveness of the resourcing at Agame's main mining location. Now, the second thing that this is going to do, these early interceptors, is it's going to force your opponent, in this case Agame, to invest in anti-air. And it's also very, very likely to lock him on the ground. Now, this is something I want to do. I want to lock Agame on the ground, and with a superior number of interceptors in the sky early, that's very, very likely to happen, because investing in strike fighters when there are already 6 interceptors in the sky is pretty suicidal. But we can see that Agame has chosen to go for missile battery fabrication, which is the right choice. And he's going to have a couple of missile batteries on the field here. And at this point in the game, I've now got a 3rd production cruiser on the field. That is going to allow me to mine off of all 3 of my locations without the need for my carrier to be at home. So I'm going to bring my carrier into the middle of the map. I've produced a base runner. I'm going to start grabbing artifacts and just try and keep Agame from getting a footing, as I mentioned. So I'm starting to just go into full macro mode now. I've got a ridiculous number of assault ships and sand skimmers. And I'm going to begin researching siege cruiser fabrication. That's 20 seconds away from completion. And then I will use my carrier and my siege cruisers to try and lock down mid for as long as possible and grab as many artifacts as I can, while using my interceptors and my sand skimmers and assault ships to keep the pressure on. Again, I know that if Agame's macro kicks into full gear, I pretty much don't stand a chance, so I'm just going to desperately try to not let that happen. Now, Agame does have another support cruiser on the field, so 2 support cruisers and a carrier, and he now has 3 resourcing locations, so he has caught up to me in terms of economy. So the situation will go desperate pretty quickly if I'm not able to slow him down again. So in my forces go, trying to get a flank on the left side with my interceptors. However, some really, really nice unit positioning with Agame's missile batteries. That's going to shut down my air from being able to do too much at this point in the game. Oh, and a huge mortar shot. That was epically done. Now on the back of this aggression, I'm going to try and clean up first this turret post, all of these salvagers, and then if I can, the support cruiser. That is not going to happen though. There's another turret back here. Really, really nice turret placement, really nice unit placement. Look at this. We've got railguns fanned out on the high ground back here. We have AAVs and missile batteries screening, and a support cruiser in position. Now look at how difficult it's been for me, even with an overwhelming macro advantage, to force Agame away from this mining location. I just can't get the support cruiser anymore, but I do have the first siege cruiser on the field, so I'm going to try and use this barrage to force him back. I've spotted Agame's railguns. I know that very, very soon he's going to be able to field so many units that my carrier is going to be in grave danger out in the middle of the map like this. So I'm just going to try and use my long-range missile barrages and my siege cruiser artillery barrages to keep him boxed in. Constant harassment from assault ships. And a massive, massive swarm of sand skimmers. I'm going to try and get a snipe off on these 4 railguns. They're out of position, but my units are just streaming onto the map piecemeal, and that is not a good thing ever. In retrospect, I should have rallied them all together. Now on the back of this, Agame is actually sending in a backstab, just a single AAV. This does have some serious armor upgrades though, so this is going to cause a big problem for me. I'm actually going to be forced to use my interceptors to shut this down, which isn't too bad because at this point in the game with these 2 missile ships covering basically Agame's entire army and all 3 resourcing locations, my interceptors aren't very useful on the front lines. So thankfully I'm going to clean that up without really any damage here. But at this point I've still kept A-Game from mining on his primary resource location. Now his carrier is moving out into mid. I think that he has spotted my carrier, and he knows that in a direct fight at lower levels of power, Khaaneph carrier cannot face the coalition carrier. It will get wrecked. However, with 2 artifacts in the bag, I was able to grab those on the back of all that fighting, as well as power reserve 2. 3 is on the way. I'm starting to spam missile power, because now that I've been able to do enough damage to slow A-Game down, I feel that all I really need to do is kill his carrier, and it's out in mid here. So if I can get like 4 power levels into missiles, or so with a couple of siege cruisers and some interceptors, my goal is to try and bait his carrier into a fight. So I'm sending a big ball of sand skimmers off to the left flank here, and just once again hitting the right side, the left side, the right side, the left side, trying to keep A-Game off balance from getting a footing. Now he's starting to really get his macro underway here, and that's a big problem for me. He does have 3 support cruisers on the field, so he's able to mine off 3 resourcing locations at full efficiency. That keeps him neck and neck. Oh, and a huge, again with the huge mortar. Now I am sending a massive swarm of skimmers in here. I'm going to try and focus down these railguns, and that's going to allow my siege cruisers and my carrier to push up. A couple of barrages coming down. I just want to point something out here. Look at the difference that armor makes. Regrettably, I haven't been investing in any sand skimmer upgrades at this point, so I was only able to kill 1 railgun and bring down these other 2 to like 10% and 60% health. But that is massive, because full armor upgrades on railguns versus no damage upgrades on sand skimmers, and you saw how that battle went. I mean, that just gives an immense amount of survivability. Now look at the amount of damage A-Game's carrier has caused. I'm in a desperate situation here. I've been losing units left and right, just throwing them in the trash like it was going out of style, desperately trying to keep A-Game from getting a footing, and so far it hasn't worked. I mean, I did do a huge amount of economic damage in the early part of the game and set him back quite substantially, but now he is closing the gap, and I am losing interceptors as well. I'm forced to send them out to try and snipe these missile batteries because they're starting to be a huge problem for me. I'm going to lose a siege cruiser. Am I going to lose a siege cruiser? Oh, boom, there it goes. So one of the siege cruisers goes down. I now have 4 power in missiles. I was able to get a 3rd artifact, so it's 3-0. So I do have a distinct advantage in terms of artifacts. However, my economic and macro advantage is slowly slipping away. I mean, look at this. I have 4 interceptors, 2 assault ships, and a siege cruiser, and that's it. And look at how many railguns A-Game has had, so gotta give props where props is due. Non-stop aggression, non-stop economic damage, and a superior tech path choice. And look at this, A-Game was able to not only hold, but recover, and now he's in a super dominant position, and I'm actually in a lot of trouble right here. Look at this railgun positioning. His railguns are spread out all over the map. What's he got? 3, 5, 7, 9 railguns spread out all over the map. I might lose another siege cruiser here. But look at this. Oh man, I almost got his carrier. And now that I know that my macro and economic advantage is no longer there, I'm in a desperate position. I am just going to try and snipe A-Game's carrier. If I can bait him into a fight, I can actually kill his carrier pretty damn quickly with 5 power in missiles, as you can see, but I can't tell exactly where he is. One of the great weaknesses of the Khaaneph is their lack of scouting information. My interceptors have been shot out of the sky. I'm trying to grab a 4th artifact, but that is going to get shut down. There's a pretty huge flanking force going on over here. AAV's rail guns. Now I've spotted it, and I'm trying to send a flanking force of my own. I'm amassing a pretty huge force of assault ships and sand skimmers to try and counter this. I am going to push it off successfully. And again, my carrier and my 2 siege cruisers are just going to be a constant pain in the ass for A-Game here to deal with. Try to lock him down from the center of the map here. Now I've successfully done a ridiculous amount of damage to his carrier, and I probably could kill him pretty quickly if I could find him, but I can't find him. And there are turrets all over the place. There's even an extra support cruiser here healing the carrier. I mean, Agame's positioning with his turrets and his unit positioning is absolutely epic. However, I'm able to force him off of the left flank here, and I'm able to get a siege cruiser in here, and that siege cruiser is absolutely going to wreck this entire mining location. Boom, 4 salvagers gone. So once again, I'm able to kill 4 salvagers and shut down mining completely. However, my force is about to get flanked here, and I'm in for another bad fight. I might lose another siege cruiser here. I don't remember if that happens, but I'm just going to have to use my missiles. Look at this missile spread. Oh man. Didn't really do any damage, but it sure is fun. At this point, I have a 3rd siege cruiser on the field, but I don't know exactly where Agame's units are, so I'm just blind firing my missiles and my artillery barrages into the fog of war, trying to force him back. Meanwhile, I am able to get off a flank with a number of sand skimmers, clean up a couple more railguns. I do apologize if I'm not able to keep up with all of the action going on in this game. There's pretty much non-stop fighting, and as you can imagine, as hard as this was to cast, imagine how hard it is to play. It was another siege cruiser goes down. Oh, but huge missile hits, man. Look at that. That was awesome. I'm forced to actually put 3 units of power into my carrier's regeneration system, and that's going to allow him to tank a bunch of railgun shots. Boom, another railgun is going to go down, and oh, look at all these missiles. Now I've spotted Agame's carrier, he pushed it out. I think this was a little bit premature for him. He knows that I have 5 power in missiles, and 5 power in missiles on a Khaaneph carrier can absolutely butt-fuck a carrier very quickly. And now that I have been able to get there, that is the name of the game. However, look at this. Agame was able to get a backstab in with a single AAV. Now, thankfully, he came to my main resourcing location, which is already mined out. So I'm going to try and send this group of salvagers and support cruiser or production cruiser over here to try and steal some of his resources, because at this point in the game, pretty much my entire army has been decimated. I don't have anything left. I'm running out of resources, and it is a desperate battle. Look at this. I have hardly any units on the field. However, my one saving grace, the only reason I'm alive in this game, is because of the amount of damage I've been able to do to Agame's carrier. Look at this. Oh man, a couple more railguns go down. The carrier takes more damage. I do have another siege cruiser on the field. Now, I have been losing units like crazy. So yeah, my play has been a little bit sloppy, but I've been in full panic mode since my original plan kind of petered out and Agame was able to hold. But here I am, I'm forcing him back. I'm slowly picking away his units. Now that he is mining on basically 1 resource location and I'm mining on 2, I do have a slight edge. However, look at this. How fucking annoying is this? 1 AAV just picking off my salvagers. This is something that I didn't notice, embarrassingly enough. However, I am going to try and spam out some missiles, clean up a few of these railguns, get a little flank of sand skimmers going to try and help out with the railguns on the right side of my carrier. And my carrier is actually dangerously close to death here. That is not cool. I am actually in full retreat mode. Oh, I spit a siege cruiser onto the field right in the nick of time. I'm going to send him forward and try and get him to tank damage. And I've spotted Agame's carrier now coming out of the fog of war. So I'm just going to spam missiles on it. And look at how quickly those missiles can take the health off of the carrier. I mean, good lord. We are both pretty much out of resources, out of units. Now, I know that Agame's only saving grace in this matchup. Oh god, a cruise missile. Oh man. Oh fuck. Like, my Khaaneph carrier is almost dead. And Agame's carrier has been forced into the fog of war, but I can kind of anticipate where it's going to be. I think I've boxed him in, so I'm going to send in my last-ditched effort here, a flanking force of sand skimmers, which is going to clean up these railguns and spot Agame's carrier for me. Now it has been backed into a corner. I see it. I know this is my only chance to take down the Titan, the king himself. I've spotted his carrier and 5 missiles are going to go in and boom. Unbelievably, I was able to take a game off of Agame ANX. I wanted to share that game with you guys. I do apologize, I seem to miss that Agame was able to grab 2 more artifacts somehow, so it came down to a 3 versus 2 artifact, very, very close. That game was so intense and so close the entire time. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it as much as I did playing it and casting it. If you like this video, smash that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stick around for more if you haven't done so, and I'll see you guys in the next video.